Protesters in Greenland reacting to continued threats by the Trump administration to take Greenland. A lot of angles on this story at this hour, including response by European nations, something called the bazooka option. And another layer to this story, a communication obtained by CBS News seems to suggest President Trump sees a tie between getting Greenland and him not being chosen to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. The president telling Norway's prime minister in a text, because he did not get the coveted prize, he no longer feels an obligation to think purely of peace. The message continues to say that he can now think about what is good and proper for the United States. And the world is not secure, he adds, unless the U.S. has complete and total control of Greenland. Close quote. Well, CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gazis is live now. Like we say, many layers to this story. So this is really a hot headline at this hour, this communication between President Trump and the man that has, some say at least, into the influence of the Nobel Peace Prize. How was the message received?
Sure, Reed. Well, the European officials that we've been speaking to today say the reaction that they have to this was pretty much one of astonishment, because this wasn't just a private expression of disappointment from the president to the Norwegians. This message was clearly meant to be widely known. CBS News had also confirmed through multiple European sources that the White House sent the exact text of that message to embassies here across Washington, ensuring that it reached other European leaders in the capitals. So what does that tell us? It shows us that the president is deciding to make this very personal grievance very public, adding it to those reasons that he believes that the U.S. should be moving forward with acquiring Greenland. And he's doing this, as you know, just days before he heads overseas for the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, potentially trying to stoke emotions there and then capitalize on European disunity within a very tight time frame. We'll see if time plays that out, that's the strategy.
All right, and so one of the wedges we understand is the double down on tariffs starting next month until the U.S. can buy Greenland. What's the response by our NATO allies? Because I've never heard in Europe the term bazooka option. What do you know?
That's true. Yeah, there are few options on the table for the Europeans, but even fewer of them are good. So the most immediate impact has been a freeze within the European Parliament on the trade deal that the U.S. struck with the EU last summer. Some European officials are also pushing for additional retaliatory tariffs on over $100 billion worth of American goods as a sort of next step. And then there's that so-called trade bazooka, which is the nuclear option, if you want to mix military metaphors, that would let the EU go beyond tariffs and impose additional export controls, restrict intellectual property rights, moves that we assume American businesses would strongly dislike and oppose. But support for that move within Europe isn't universal at this stage. And there's also the complicating factor that looming over all of this is the fact that the U.S. still holds the upper hand when it comes to backing Ukraine. So escalating tensions with a potential trade war with the U.S. risks eroding that increasingly tenuous support that it's exhibiting for a land war that's still raging in Europe. It's a very tough calculus for them.
So much focus on the president of the United States and also those NATO nations, European leaders, and others around the globe, but not a lot of focus lately on the people of Greenland. What are they saying?
Yeah, I think we've seen some videos from there, Reed. Protests have been intensifying there despite extremely cold temperatures and despite the fact that that population is relatively small, fewer than 60,000 people. There's reports that we've seen of children, of retirees joining these crowds, which reflects polling there that shows Greenlanders overwhelmingly oppose being taken over by the United States. And as you've been discussing on your shows, the U.S. View, voters here also largely reject the idea of either acquiring Greenland by force or using federal funds to buy it, which is making this the president's insistence that the U.S. needs to own Greenland even more curious and potentially politically risky. But he's clearly forging ahead.
A lot of those protesters taking MAGA and making it their own. They say, make America go away. Olivia Gazis, thank you so much. Nice to talk to you today.